Good time zone. And a happy birthday to all of those around the world. Normally this would be Fabula Friday, and kind of it is, but we're going to do something a bit different today. Bit goofy. Something I came up with after I saw as the clock turned to the 28th, and immediately on my feed was someone streaming Endfield. A VTuber, I don't know her name, but plays strategy games a lot, so she pops up for me. Never watched her though. She got Endfield access. I did not. Here we are. And I said, what if we did this instead? Where we write about what it would be like if I was playing Endfield. Maybe do some doodles. Citation, I can't draw. What if we make up what actually the game is like without knowing at all what the game is like? How I would make the game. If I was in charge. We're kind of winging it, so we'll see how this works out. But for those who don't know, who might be coming in here, I don't know why you're coming in here when you could literally be watching Endfield instead, but if you are coming in here and you don't know what's happening, you might wonder, what is my experience? What makes it so that I have authority to say how this game could even work and what the story would be like? So let me give you a bit of details. For one, I'm a super fan. Alright? I know a lot about Arknights. In terms of Endfield, what is my sort of stuff there? I mean, I've you know, I've never played Endfield. Right? I've never watched anyone play Endfield. But I have watched most trailers. And I watched the live stream that was recently. Most trailers and of videos. They released one recently. I did not watch it. I have already have 2 theories about Endfield. One of them is, well, actually, I can't say 2 theories. I've theory crafted 1 theory. The other theory was not mine and is actually totally wrong. We'll talk about that one later. The other one, I guarantee this other one, my theory, my actual theory, I guarantee you it's gonna be correct. I guarantee. We'll get there too. That's my experience with Endfield. But I'm very experienced with Arknights. I have played since year 1. I read every event. And the main story, which is more than some people can say. And the majority of my theories have proven correct. I'm pretty sure that's true. Would black look better? No, black does not look good. What about background color? Yeah, that works. This is where I would love if there was someone who could go back to all of my streams, compile every time I made a theory about Arknight's story, make a big compilation showing off which ones are right and which ones are wrong. I guarantee the majority of them would be correct. But maybe, you know, I could say, well, maybe I just only remember the correct ones. But no. I'm going to say confidently right here, right now, that the majority of my theories have been correct. There is no what ifs. Additionally, Irene is the best character. I think that qualifies me to do this stream as well. I think that's an important qualifier. It's pretty patrician of taste, I feel. I do support Spectrine supporter. I am a supporter of Spectrine. I cannot do a double indent on OBS apparently for my text, so I'm just gonna do a side thing there. I am a supporter of Spectrine. Sorry, Jordy, you're not the one. I'm a supporter. I think that's how you spell Spectrine. I don't know. I'm gonna say it is though. But yeah, sorry any Jordy fans. Additionally, you know, top events, just to get more of my taste. I mean, obviously, I think it's pretty universally agreed. Lone Trail is number 1. I cried at the end. We were all there. Pretty good. Neural Trilogy. Very good. As well. I think that's I don't know, is that agreed upon? I think it is. I don't hear too many people talk about it as much. It's pretty good though. This year, I still think so far, Win Elegies or Ashes is still the best event this year. Which I think is probably a pretty unique take. I don't think a lot of people are thinking about that. And I think that's my criteria, my qualifications, rather. So, how are we gonna do this? I've thrown something together. We'll see what we see what we can work with, how this is gonna work exactly. What I end up using. Well, bam. So we've got our sketch pad, which can do text. So might do it on there. Wasn't sure. Otherwise, we got my favorite, draw.io. Well, at least that's what it used to be called when it first came out. It's not called that anymore. It's called diagrams.net or app.diagrams.net. Draw.io link still takes you there though, so it's what we used when we made the Cyrene timeline. Which you can find on the stream titled "We're Making a Chart About Cyrene." Or it's posted on Bluesky. I thought about doing Obsidian, but I didn't want to like switch back and forth with the drawing stuff if I end up doing that a lot. So I was like, well, I can do a split screen, or I could just do the text on Draw.io, or not Draw that, on Sketchpad. We'll see. Do I like the pencil? Pencil's alright. Streamer. Better? Maybe. Probably. So, I mean, first things first, right? We get into the game. We launch the game. I'm launching the game. I switch over. I say bam, all that good stuff. Infield title screen. Title screens are important. It lags? Is it laggy? I do have to move this over in order to mess with the other side of the screen for options on the Draw.io. Also, let me highlight my mouse. Make this bold. We'll make this 25. Oh, not 15. Well, apparently. 20. That's way too small. Though. Okay. Actually, turned back down to 10. Why did I do that? I don't know what's happening there. We're gonna make another field instead. Alright. Infield title screen. I think number one, I have got three sort of ideas for this, but number one, the most important thing, no double title screen. I'm tired of these games having double title screens. No double title screens, please. I don't want to click twice to play the game. So there's kind of three options for what the title screen could be, I think. I guess there's four, but I don't really like the fourth one. So we're going to go with three. The fourth one is, I guess, what Arknights does, where it's just kind of a blank screen with text. No. Alright, so first things first. We have an environmental title screen showing off Talos. Talos 2, to be more specific. And this could be probably like one scene. I don't know if it's going to be a environmental in the sense that it is a like the actual environment, like some trees and rocks and a field or something like that, or if it's going to be like maybe have some infrastructure in it. Could be either or. Environmental title screens are pretty good. They show you where you're going, where you're playing, and it does help set a vibe overall. But the vibe is dependent on the environment that they're showing. Is it a peaceful environment? Is it a chaotic environment? Night or day? Weather, that sort of thing, right? So that can really change the vibe. The second option is similar, but not quite, and that is showing off the main base. I don't remember what it's called. They've said it in the live stream and trailers and things. I do not remember what it's called. Guess I'm not a super fan after all. Can I find out what it's called? Snow Rhodes Island, that's for sure. A bit more fancy. Oh yeah, Dijon. Dijon. I want to. Can I not do? I can't do. I'm just gonna spell it myself then. Is that how I spell it? No extra I. It's the main base, so it makes sense to have it. It would solidify the importance and the sort of power that you as the player have. Pretty cool if it starts basic and you have to build it up. Dynamic title screens are the best. Yeah, you could have an environmental scene for the title screen where it starts with nothing and then over time it builds up. Usually, though, that's a kind of game that has sets. Well, I guess it could change based on how far you get into the story. The last one is a bit more techy, a bit more mysterious. A bit more minimalist. And that is, and this plays directly into how we're going to start the game as well. Some sort of scene of like big oranginium crystal. That's just kind of like a kind of like monolith sort of thing or something. Maybe the oh no, oh man, what if even better, the menu on the title screen is like text readout from the Oranginium. Like the UI is designed to look like that. Wouldn't that be cool? I could get behind that. Be a different color scheme. I feel like Enfield's titles is going to be pretty white. This would be dark. It would be orange. The other options could be the white still, but that one would have to be different. So then we get to, we press start, right? Press start, probably get a cutscene, but eventually we will choose who we're playing as. And this is where we get into not only how the Oranginium crystal title screen fits in. We also get into our first my big theory about what the heck is happening in this game. Which I should probably name the theory. we'll call it the assimilated clone theory. Because I believe 100% this is going to be true. It just makes the most sense from context that we have about Arknights. Is that the characters we're meeting, not all of them, but some of them, like Angelina, and maybe not Kaltzit, and the protagonist, it has to be, are information forms, data forms, clones pulled from the assimilated universe. Has to be. We know for a fact that people can escape the assimilated universe. Even dead people. This is something confirmed by Gerda and the priestess. Whoa. Not what I wanted to happen. And so I think it makes the most sense. Angelina's name is like Gilberta, I think. No. And not Kaltzit. The Endmen, whom probably is pulled from the Doctor. They cannot be the Doctor themselves. I refuse to believe it. They have to be pulled from the Doctor, because there's two options pretty much we have for this protagonist. Either they are the Doctor themselves, which doesn't make any sense, or they're just another predecessor human who is maybe on Talos, but that also isn't great for a lot of reasons. But the main reason why none of that works is because we know for a fact predecessor humans, the original humans, the true humans, they're squishy, they're pathetic. We are pathetic creatures compared to Terran humans. But the Endman fights. No way the Doctor knows how to fight and is somehow strong. So it has to be, I think, they have to be pulled from the assimilated universe, maybe with the knowledge, but it's not the same body. It's a new body. It's maybe a body pulled from information of a Terran human pulled with combat experience. But the Endmen cannot just be Doctor. I don't know why they have apparently amnesia again. Really got to get that worked out. Can I have both these things? Why did they change their names? Because they're not the same person. I think they would know that to some extent. It's also a probably their code name, assuming we still use code names. So I'm thinking you know, this is probably not what's going to be shown at the beginning of the game. The beginning of the game is probably going to be we wake up. Maybe that first trailer where we wake up, I think Perlica's there, and Knockouts it's there. That might just be the opening. We wake up. It's, you know, it's reminiscent of Arknights, so it's callback to that. Maybe something happened. That's why we have amnesia. I don't know. But first things first, right? We have a very bad rhombus. We have a rhombus. I can draw that last line straight in any way whatsoever. There we go. Good enough. We have a rhombus. Can I do that? No. Not fill in a shape on this one. Pixel fill? No. Okay. It did not like me pixel filling. The website said no about that. Alright, I'm gonna switch scenes just in case this breaks something. Okay, no, we're good. Alright, will not ever pixel fill in my life. Ever again. Mistakes were made. I wish I could fill. But I guess I can. But you know, it's like orange. The rhombus is like glowing orange. As oranginium rhombuses are known to do. But don't worry. This one is priestess free. This is why we are able to pull people and code from the simulated universe. Priestess, by this point, should be defeated, right? Oranginium should be under our control, and we're able to reverse the process. Priestess free. Honestly, the reversal of the origin of the simulated universe process is probably like the best way to do it. Like they want to assimilate everything into the simulated universe, and they got upset when Teresa knew how to do that, make the flowers in the field. But I feel like that's a better way. If you can store all the information in the simulated universe and then pull it out to remake everything once the crisis is over, that feels pretty good to me. So we have this rhombus, and out of the rhombus we're pulling the information. We are materializing into the Endmend. In this case, I like to think they like we come out of it as like particles and like solidify. Am I gonna try and draw the Endmend? No. But I'll draw the mask, maybe. How does this mask look? That's it. Maybe I should have filled it when I drew it as well. All black anyway, so. Make it dark. Make it. I guess we can make it like gray or something. This is also why, I guess, we have two gender options. Which, personally, I wish they kind of kept the ambiguity that they kept in Arknights. That's another thing where I'm like, I hope it's not just like the Doctor. It's gotta be in a simulated universe clo. Also, keeping things ambiguous makes it easier for, you know, promotion. Otherwise, you run into, you know, which one is the canon one, right? Which one are they going to show off the most? So far, I think they've been pretty good at making it even out. Obviously, as a player, I'm going to choose the male option. Because I like choosing the wrong option. If it's anything like Honkai, it's the wrong option. But hopefully, they don't do that. But it'll be hard, and that's why they should have just kept it ambiguous. Or chosen one, or preferably ambiguous, though. And they could have done it ambiguous even with this type of game, like a 3D game like this, where you see your character. They still could have done it ambiguous, right? Could have made them androgynous, voice androgynous. The outfit's pretty much the same for both of them anyway, so they could have just done that, like they did with the anime. That's like a little bit of like a you know, gripe, I guess. But yes, we'll choose the male. Endman. I'm curious how long they intend the Endman to be used as a character. They're gonna be relegated quickly to never fighting. They're gonna try and make them stick around. They're just gonna be this is an option if you want it to be an option. It's fair game. I probably prefer that middle ground, or it's fair game. If you want it, you want it. I really don't like when other certain games make you try and like have to play with the protagonist. Because I want to make the teams I want to make. But I trust Hypergriff. They've rarely led us astray, except recently. When the did you guys see that the Path of Life reruns title screen says disassociative recombination? Very funny. Speaking of ring combination, that's what this is. We're recombining the information. Episode 15 was great for figuring out how these two games tie together. But like I said, we're probably not going to see this. I wonder how much they're going to keep that hidden from us about the origins of the Endman, or even any of these characters, but I guarantee you the answer will eventually be my assimilated clone theory. But no, we probably are going to wake up you know, hey you're finally awake. All of our friends are there. Erlika and not Kaltsit. Speaking of Erlika, that's the second theory, which isn't actually mine. And I thought it was cool at first, but immediately it was proven wrong. It really was. And that is, of course, the Perlica origin theory. Which I made this picture for and everything. Perlica and Christine, same hair color. Both have this like little red-blue striped medal. Except one's a Libery and one's a Pero. So that doesn't really work out. But man, it would have been so cool if she was actually a descendant of Kristen, because Kristen lands on Talos. Would have been so cool. How do you spell Kristen's name? There's so many ways to spell that name specifically. I know it's an H. No, it's an H. Or not an H, what am I talking about? I know it's a K. Kristen. That's debunked. Throw that over here. You could say that that would lower my correct ratio of theories, but it wasn't my theory, so I don't take any responsibility. I'm merely the messenger for that one. I thought it was a neat idea until we proved it wrong. I guess you could say that maybe she doesn't have to be a descendant, but it could still be the medal or something, but we're not gonna, it's done. It's over. We're not gonna have any leg in that race. So, hey you're finally awake. We wake up. We're gonna get exposition. Welcome back, Endmen. We've been waiting for you. We've got some problems we need fixing. Which of course means combat tutorial. Yay. Which means that we're probably going to fight the Agolai. Which are rock creatures, I guess. Not to be confused with Oranginium, though. I don't think. I think they're pretty kind of unspoken about it, but adamant about it at the same time that it's not Oranginium. We'll see about that. I don't have any information on that. This is my interpretation of an Aglai. They definitely look like this, though. That one's got a weird foot over there. That's fine. Exactly what they look like. Something basic to fight. Yeah, we'll see. I assume the story going into it is, at least, I would assume, based on the trailers, there's kind of two things happening. Us going in do not know what the Aglai are, but presumably everyone else does. And this is part of why, like, oh, we have amnesia. Part of that usefulness is because the player doesn't know. We talked about this before. Storytelling wise, the player doesn't know anything going in, so you make the protagonist don't know anything either, so that when they learn, the player learns. But you really don't have to do that, and preferably I think you shouldn't do that. But it's worked out well for Arknights. We got a pretty satisfying conclusion on that. At this point, you could really say the Doctor no longer has amnesia. Which is why, again, back to the simulated clone theory, I don't know why the Endman would. Again. We'll see. But I feel like they probably know what the Aglai are. Whether or not they'll tell us that much, or if that's going to be a mystery. Or at least, maybe they know some, but don't know the full story out to what's going on with the Aglai. I wonder if we'll start with a singular sort of enemy of like, oh, it's the Aglai. We're fighting the Aglai, and then other people are going to be introduced. There seems to be another antagonist that they've kind of shown in some of the trailers. I don't know who they are. I don't think they're related. I think they're just a different thing. They're probably the more important antagonist. The Aglai seem like, thus far, an environmental antagonist. However, that being said, so is Oranginium. Until it wasn't. Until Linguist got a little crazy with it. So we'll see. It could be environmental, it could be something deeper, could be environmental, but the other people utilize them for their own gains. But that doesn't matter right now. Because we got some alloy to fight. They're causing a bit of a ruckus. They're kind of annoying. Well, let's deal with them. Our team is probably Endman, probably Perlica, and obviously we gotta start off with like some of the op teams. But they probably won't introduce full team combat immediately. Unlike in a tower defense kind of game, in this kind of game, you could just have some enemies be able to be killed by one character to start off with. So the first fight probably is just going to be us. And then they'll introduce team fighting. Actually, I have a better way to do this. Drawing. Yeah. That's an alloy. And then we'd get like, oh, the combat slashes, animation effects, the cross swords. The explosions. And then he's dead. Kind of like a Pokemon. You know, he's like a rock elemental thing, so it falls apart when you kill it. Yeah, it like falls apart and then it's on the ground. It makes sense. So you do solo, you do team. We progress through the area, we explore the world a little bit. Perlica is talking in our ear about the situation. Talos, too, was pioneered by explorers from Terra through the Ether Gate 400 years ago. It took all of Terran civilization coming together to repair it and fight some demons, maybe they'll even mention. Who knows? At that point, oh, that's what that dot was. That was the exclamation mark dot. Delete it by accident. We probably would get... some quests? We doing a quest system in this game? Probably. fight some basic alloy. We get some more quests. We exit wherever we are. Chances are we're in some sort of base. We're not waking up on Dijon already. Like, we're waking up on the planet in some base that's probably out in the wilderness a bit for whatever reason. Not too far away from some minor town. So we'll either start helping out a small settlement or someone will be in danger, I'm sure. Because the first Agoloi we're fighting, we're just in our way. No. No. This is... It's not exciting enough. We need more high-octane action. So we're gonna pull out a good old trope, an age-old trope. I do not know if it has a name. It's a bit of a call to action, but we're going to encounter the main antagonist immediately. And we're not going to be able to do anything about it. But things are going to be a bit crazy. And once that happens, then things slow down a bit and we get back into the next aspects of the game, which are additional tutorials sort of things. But we gotta meet the antagonist. I mean, that's actually what I didn't even think about this until just this point. This is what they did in Arknights. We met Tallulah. Things were bad. It's a good way to get people excited for what's to come. It also sets, besides the call to action, it also sets a tone for the game, because otherwise if we're starting off like, okay, we fight We're walking around, we're doing this sort of thing. It makes it feel more like the world is going to be busy work. It's going to be more subdued. And that can give the wrong expectations to the player about what's going to happen. It can also set expectations that maybe the story is not as important. And I will not accept that. So the story is front and center. I do not imagine it's going to play out in a similar vein where we're going to like lose our friends or anything like that. I think we are technically still by ourselves at this point, but something's going to happen. We're going to encounter or see the effects of the antagonist. After we survive the encounter, then, like I said, things slow down a bit. Because they also have to set expectations for what is the game itself mechanically, what is the loop the player is expected to experience. We have combat, of course. The next big thing is base building. So a settlement is in danger. We come, or there's a small settlement we come across, probably maybe tied direct to the antagonist encounter, maybe not. After we recover a bit though, these guys need help. And this is going to be the introduction to base building. The town is in bad shape. We need to make some resources for them. Can the bold stop bolding, please? Thank you. So I think there's like a mining thing or something. So like they're gonna have us go set up a mining thing somewhere, right? They're like, hey, Endman, here's this mining module. The blah blah blah. It can extract resources. These are the resources we need. Go to this spot, set it up. They'll probably throw in part of the tutorial is, hey, creatures will try and stop you. I believe they showed that off at one point. It was like, hey, yeah, creatures will like try to attack your like mining thing or something. So they'll do that to set that up as well. And this is just going to be the basic, right? We're not going to get into the full scale thing. This is going to be, here's some resource extracting. Done, right? Some other, eventually it'll probably be like, okay, well now we need to make that into something. So make a processor, a refinery. I imagine it'll be a several step stage tutorial. So it'll probably end with like some small refinery base. I run out of room. Can I make this bigger without ruining everything? That's the question. Thought I could. I mean, I can make it bigger. I can make a new one that's bigger. I thought, can I not update an old one? I guess not. Unless. Guess not. All right, we'll make a new one that we want to be pretty big as well. How big is this? No, it's bright. Hold your horses. Well, can I have a room over there. I wonder if I can move this around. Not really. Cutting it close. Hopefully that will be enough room for the time being. We're gonna put it all on the same page because I don't want to not have it. Good enough for me. So, where was I? Do the base building, do the small base building. Yeah, we can draw that. Unless the music just ended. I think it did. The perfect tunes to build a base to. Hold on. It's like one of those crusher things where you have like a heap of metal and then you smash it. don't know. I don't know what the delivery system is like in Talos, but I feel like drones would be a thing. Endfield Industries. Our first tutorial factory, where we crush rocks into rounder rocks. The people will love it. This is actually how you make pet rocks. You didn't know that. Oh. There we go. They have to make rock grinding a thing. There's gotta be rock grinders and smashers. If we're mining things, we gotta be smashing and grinding and flattening and breaking. I, for one, hope we have the ability to make all of our favorite materials personally. You know? I want to see ore rock. I want to see, you know, some damaged devices. Mucus fiber, crystalline components. manganese ore, RMA 7012, semi-synthetic solvent. We should be able to make all of these things. Transmuted salt. I can only hope we still make this stuff. Would be a nice tie-in to the cohesiveness of the universe. These are the materials that exist on Terra. There's really not any reason that this stuff would cease to exist, or why they would have different names. We still use bronze to this day, copper, iron, like that's still a thing we use even in modern times. Like it's not going to change. But they have already named some things differently, like the gacha currencies, so we'll see. That's more excusable. We'll see. There can of course be new stuff, but I would hope that there's still some old stuff. So after we go through the base building tutorial, which is going to take a bit. And probably not even after. At some point in all of this, right? At some point in all of this. We'll see how long it takes. It could be very quick. It could be later on. We at least have to get through the combat tutorial, I think. We have to get through maybe the encounter with the main antagonist. At some point, though, of course, it's gacha time. I'm imagine Arknights likes to tie in the gacha to sort of a real thing. You know, we're recruiting, we're headhunting people to join our company. So I imagine this is going to be a similar thing. Well, so it might come a bit later where we are sitting down and we're like, okay, take a look at our operators here. Take a look at, you know, these recruits. Who want to join the prestigious Endfield Industries. Whom I think were given like colonial authority over the planet. At one point, at least. Kind of like a East India Company vibe. Could be wrong about that, but in my version, that's what happened. Now, we do know a bit about the gacha from the live stream. I pull up my notes about that. There's the two systems. One's the weapon, one's the character. The weapon one's a fake sort of gacha, though. Thank goodness. The real thing is the characters, and the weapons are just an additional thing you get after you get the characters. I forget what they called the currency. I don't know what the gacha looks like. So what does the gacha look like? Arknights, we have a bag. Iconic duffel bag full of character profiles. Actually, I do think I recall a bit of what the gacha looks like from pictures I've seen. Although I don't know what the animation is. I know what the final result kind of thing looks like. It's kind of like a stage silhouette where you have like the characters are lined up in a line, which isn't anything unique. I don't know how many characters. We'll just do the 4. And then there are also like the models are down under, like in front at the bottom of the like bigger picture, which I imagine is probably blacked out and then turns on or something. This suddenly looks like a gambling machine. Of course. That's what gacha is. Are slot machines, I guess slot machine pull arms are always on the right side? That's pretty discriminatory. As a left-handed person. What's up with that, huh? Actually, let's add some color to that. Part of the reason why although I'm pretty impressed with what I've done today on the drawing wise. Part of the reason why it's a bit finicky though is actually I technically I'm drawing with my right hand. But I am left-handed. But you know what? This is my version of Endfield. And for some reason it's a slot machine, but also it's a left-handed slot machine. Gacha is the perfect length to actually for this. Technically, maybe like, well, why does that one have 2 letters? But CH is one. It's a digraph. It's technically it's 1 letter technically. So it works. We're gonna assume that we use the same rarity system. In that, I guess like a 3-star is the lowest you can get. Or is it a 4-star? No, you can get 3-star. Now, obviously, if I was actually playing, I have pretty good luck. So I wouldn't get all 3 stars. This is for someone else. So you try the first time, you get all 3 star, like all 3 stars, which sucks, and you're like, okay, we'll try again. 100 times later, finally, here it comes, a 6-star. Yeah, and then there's like explosions, fireworks. You finally did it. You got the 6-star. Of course, realistically, they're gonna give you one for free on the first trial pull. A 90% of players are for some reason going to get Hoshiguma, which I won't complain about. I got Hoshiguma. She's pretty good still. But it's kind of interesting that so many people got Hoshiguma. Heard Aya Op might be the free one. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. From like people care about her, so let's give her out for people to be invested in the process. So you get the gacha, you get a team, and you're home free. Also, there's weapons in there. Like, you know, none of us care about that. But that's where they'll introduce the weapons, probably, if they haven't already part of combat. Probably introduce weapons. There is the gear system, I guess, but I really don't know what they're doing for that, which is perfect because it means that I can create my own system that will be really good and will totally not disappoint me. Time comes. Also, I don't know why this font decreased on that. It worked out good for the weapon thing, because that's funny, but I don't know why it decreased for the rest of it. So, gear. Tutorial. I imagine gear will probably come later. It'd probably be one of the last things. You do combat, of course. You do base building. Gacha is in there somewhere. It could have come before or after base building. I'm not sure. Depends on how much they want to immediately push it on you. Some games do it really early, some don't. I honestly do not remember how Arknights worked. It was 5 years ago. Going on 6 years ago. I do not actually remember when they did it for you. They probably did a few combat first. Because you have the op teams to fill out your roster for free, pretty much. So it does depend on a few things for this game as to when that will pop up. Gear tutorial. I do not know how gear is going to exactly work. I am going to say, though, let us say it is something that you make. I think that makes sense. If I was creating this game, we have a factory system. We're making materials for upgrading characters. We're making money. We are making things for the world itself, I guess. We should probably also incorporate that into the gear. I think that makes sense. It's cohesive. Because the alternative is that it's loot drops. I don't feel like that's that this game is a game with loot drops like that. Not the end of the world. It's not even necessarily a bad thing if it is, but I don't think thematically, in terms of mechanics, it makes the most sense. And also in terms of just the world. A lot of these games are pretty grounded. We have this factory system, so let's utilize it. So we're getting gear from factories. This will still come later than the base building because it's more complicated. Start off with basic materials first. You want to start off with things for generally upgrading your characters. Gear is a supplementary system. It's not totally crucial, but it is nice to have. Again, this is I'm winging it for this one. You know, technically I'm winging it for all of it, but this one especially. I have no idea. I will make them have preset stat bonuses akin to modules. Right? Modules give you a tiny little bit of extra attack, tiny little bit of extra HP sometimes. It's that sort of thing. More than that, more than modules do, but still preset. You can make higher tier gear for higher stat bonuses, but the stats are the same. There could be class-based gear if we want to say like, oh, this is gear is for casters, so it has usually stats that are more applicable to a caster character, perhaps, or even some sort of set bonus. Which again applies to the class. I think I could accept that. We're gonna have gear, right? If we're gonna have it, and we are, then how do we make it good? Something that is useful, something that isn't an afterthought, but isn't also annoying. That its very existence is annoying. I think that obviously, as you can probably tell, I'm avoiding any sort of RNG system here. I'm avoiding gear sets that are unique to themselves in the sense that they require that they are for specific characters, right? And so if you want to use that character, not only, all right, you'd have to get their like that specific gear set with the specific stats you want. No, we're not doing any of that. The gear is class-based. That way you can switch out, like if you get a new caster, you could just switch out the caster gear, right? I think it's fair to be like, yeah, well, obviously the Vanguard's not going to use the caster gear. That's a preset, so there's no RNG. But there is, because it's a factory game, the tiers, there are gear tiers that you build by putting in more resources. You can build gray tier first, blue tier, yellow tier, purple tier, whatever tier colors you want to use. Got some greens, you got some blues, you got the purples. I played MMOs. Anything else for gear? I don't think so. Unless they make gear totally like a module-based system in which like it is hyper specific to a character, but it is also just built for that character. Where it is not, well, you could do it this way, or you could do it that way, but rather like in Arknights are like, oh, well, here's their gear slots. It tells you like, oh, that's the they need this gear, that's the gear they wear. It represents like their actual armor that you can see on them, sort of thing, and or other character quirks, and then you build it, and it is, and you just put it on them, right? And that's it, and that's the end of the story. That's kind of the other option. Or it's more universal, class-based, at the most, in terms of limitations. The most limitation is made class-based. And then there's tiers for more stats. Whereas, I mean, even module has technically like 3 tiers. So you could, the more hyper-specific character ones could still have tiers. You could go down that route as well. I think a more general route is a little better. I would say, yeah. Is that what it's going to be? Who knows? That's the biggest question I have for Endfield. What's going on with the gear? My biggest worry for it as well. My other worries were already resolved. That's really the only one that remains. Obviously, at this point, after you get through that, and part of the gear tutorial as well at this point is it's pretty open at this now, right? We've gone through the more important tutorials that are going to be more limited, and now we're just we're open. We've got the directions of the story. But we can go do whatever we want, I guess. I think that's where it does come in. Like, we have to have... It is... open world. There's probably side quests. There's gotta be side quests. And things to discover. I think I recall from the live stream that there was chests. But I also think your teammates helped you find them, if I recall correctly. So that's cool. Fan of that. Then we get out of the beginning of the game. To explore Talos 2. They've shown off a few regions, I guess you could call them. One they're showing off a lot, it's very pretty, is this kind of Yenis-esque region. That's probably where we're starting, or near to it. More will probably be added. Probably on the same continent. Depends if Talos has contents. Talos 2. I want to shorten it to Talos, but like that would be incorrect because there is just a Talos. Talos 2. But at the same time, context-wise, I don't think anyone's going to get confused. I wonder what they'll do for event content. It will probably do different than Arknights, but I feel like Arknight stuff could work still pretty well. Like, honestly, a lot of the stuff from Arknights could work well. The vignette events could still be a thing where you just go talk to a character or something and like hang out with them, sort of thing. Attached to that is the operator record sort of thing where you like can just go hang out with a character and talk to them. But I'm hoping that they are the any sort of event stuff is meaningful. Something like Genshin. In fact, I don't remember Genshin's events. Mainly because I don't think I ever actually played a Genshin event. When I played the game, I don't know if there was an event going on. And if there was, I ignored it then. In terms of live service, open world games, I really don't have a reference point to how that sort of thing could work. We've got Honkai, Star Rail, which is, I guess, the next best thing in terms of like it's technically it's not open world, but it's open-ish world. But they stopped doing meaningful events. They stopped doing that, which is a shame. It wasn't something I noticed at first, but once people pointed it out to me, I was like, "Oh, you're so right. They don't do them the same way they used to." That's like the ghost hunting gang event was still like the best one because that was like one of the last actual meaningful ones they did. But hopefully we have meaningful events. I don't know how exactly that's going to look in terms of, you know, the sort of level we have in Arknights, because of how the game works in terms of, well, Arknights, you just make levels and you just fight the levels and you read the story. If you're cool, if you're a cool person, you read the story. The stories are also not centered on the majority of them don't even have the doctor in it, right? The protagonist is the main character, the player character, I should say. Not really the protagonist per se, but the player character isn't in it for the majority of them. So you're playing well, not even playing, you're just reading from the perspectives of other characters. Could they do that in this sort of game? They could do instanced areas of the world. I know a thing or two about how game design works. I've played games. They could do instanced areas of the world where the enemies apply to the storyline if you're in like the instanced quest or something. And they could just have the characters cutscenes or whatever of them talking to each other with or without the player character involved at all. It might feel a bit weird with how it's set up though. I don't know. I would know more if I could actually know how the game works in terms of how they present the story and things. I could then be like, okay, I get maybe how this could work. I don't know. But I do think that the vignette and op records would work perfectly in the game. You can just go to a character in the base and be like, yep, you like level them up or whatever, you unlock the op record, you can go to them, you can talk to them, and you get like a little cutscene sort of thing where you can talk to them. I guess it's not quite op records because op records as well are also, the majority do not have the player character in them. So it's less of a, not quite the same thing in that regard. You could have conversations. You could still do op records if it's just like a cutscene thing. If they want to do it that way, I really don't know what their intentions are. I've seen I think I've seen like one kind of cutscene thing from the live stream, I think, where it's just like Angelina and the Endman talking. Whether or not that was like what that actually was, if that was part of the story or if that was like a side thing, I don't know. But it had the sort of intimate vibes to it, not intimate in the sense of like it's a off record sort of conversation between the two of you to get to know the character. I would do that in my version of Endfield. I would do that. Events are definitely a harder thing, though. I guess you could have two types of events. You could have events that are instanced areas of pre-existing areas. Or you could have events that actually add a small part of the world. Off to the side. Because there's no way that the whole world is available immediately. They don't do that sort of thing anymore. Back in my day, some games did that. But with nowadays, especially with gacha games, no siree. I will say there's probably I don't know what I was gonna, but I will say that I'm curious how they're gonna present the story too, because in Arknights we jump around from perspectives. Even the antagonist's perspectives at times. I wonder if they'll do the same thing. I guess even Honkai started to do that nowadays. So it's not as unusual. Oh, I ran out of space already. But fine. I think before the whole new world opens up, though, before it opens up and you can kind of go do what you want, we have to have like another confrontation with the main antagonist, right? Like we're gonna see them again. Another classic. Nothing too unusual. But then the game opens up. I think there is 3 zones. Three is a good number to give a bit of a different taste of the world. Could be less. I'd be surprised. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it was more. We have the Yinny zone. And 2 other zones. I'm not sure about what you would call them. I'm recalling there is the Yinny's place, and then there was like another place that was just kind of like maybe frontier-ish, you could say. So it's more rugged, it's more arid, right? For the Yinny zone, we've seen like it was pretty lush, very beautiful. Frontier zone, more rugged, more arid. Third zone. not sure. Guess something in between. Could be coastal. Could be island. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the overall landmass is. As I said, is it going to be one continent? Are there continents? Is there an ocean? Did someone allow Seaborn to come onto Talos? Did Aegir come onto Talos? That's a good question. Just like completely land acclimated Aegir who just are like totally like, I don't even know what the ocean is at this point. But I'm a fish person. That'd be pretty neat, actually. To build up that sort of culture of pioneer Aegir, whom, yeah, are completely just disconnected from the ocean. And water. Not completely unusual, but even the Aegir on Terra who did live on land still harken back to the sea. They're also a bit more rare. And yet the Aegir were going to explore the stars first. So I wonder if they were they were super into the idea of going through the Ether Gate. And so maybe they're a little bit less rare. Or maybe they just did their own thing. I don't know. I could see a Seaborn getting through, but I also don't know if they want to focus on that so much since there is such a big storyline for Arknights that's about the Seaborn. I don't know if they're like, yeah, I don't rehash this sort of thing. I wouldn't do that. Maybe it's an off mention. Maybe it's, you know, a minor population. It doesn't really matter. Or just they just aren't there. It's probably the safer bet. But we'll say coastal zone. Because I think that's a bit more unique from things I've seen. I think that'd be a bit more interesting than the other alternative options where it's just like a mountain zone. It's like mountains can be anywhere. Frontier zone, Yeni zone should just have mountains. And we're not in the cold yet. But probably one day we'll be there. Zoom out. No, I just want to move that up a little bit. Stop freaking out. The whole new world, the Dral Talos. Which of course is a moon of the gas giant Talos. We'll say it has the ocean. If we're going to have our coastal zone, we'll give it an ocean. Wow. Try to make it to scale a little bit. Now, Talos is probably it orbits the gas giant Talos. Talos 2 orbits Talos. Hence the name. It's probably outside of its ring zone, though, I would imagine. If it was inside its ring zone, it probably wouldn't be that great of a place. Especially if we're considering it from like a predecessor point of view. I also think Talos, like, rings are cool to see from a planet, but I think Talos rings are more thin. There's certainly no Saturn rings, especially if we want to keep them outside of the ring zone, but orbit of the moon. I believe it was also mentioned by the the sarcophagus computer. I think during Babel event that Talos has a shipyard. Some sort of Like a little base station sort of esque thing, I guess. There we go. That's exactly what Talos looks like. I guess to be fair, although it'd be much smaller. Oop. There's probably like a thing around Alice, but it wouldn't be the same size. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The shipyards would probably be pretty big, although still a bit out of scale there. I'll just leave it like that. And that's exactly what the beta is like, guys. Exactly what it is like. Can you believe I padded 3 hours? Kind of surprised myself. We'll have to see when the game comes out how accurate was any of this. The Twitch category, or was it the Twitch category, or was it the YouTube category? YouTube category says 2026. It says Arknights Endfield 2026, which coincides, of course, with the Apple article and general consensus. I'm sure we could get answers by watching people play the beta. Yeah, but why would you do that? When you can just make up your own delusional fantasy about what the game is going to be like. I'm hoping it's January. I'm hoping. I'll be sure to save this stuff. None of this counts as a theory if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I'm still going to take credit. However, the assimilated clone theory, it's gotta be that. It's gotta be a thing. I don't know. We didn't talk about not counts it. She could be one too. Which might mean that there's 3 Calcits in the universe now. There's 3 of them walking around. So unsure about her, but everyone else? And the theory overall? Mark my words. But that's what we'll end it today. Somehow, somehow this is one of my most viewed streams. Which means my plan worked. It all paid off. We'll be back with regularly scheduled programs next week. So until then, maybe you should watch someone actually play Endfield, or maybe not. But thank you all for watching. And may the sands of time treat you well.